Hey friends, this is one of my artworks which is very textural and novelty and is based around landscape essentially. It's called Dreamscape and there's a number after it, I can't remember. And it's mostly made using a really easy technique which I'm going to share with you. So here's some very valuable intellectual property of mine that I'm happy to share with you all because it's very exciting for me to see people coming up with variations on what I've shared with them, and in helping you, it helps me become a better artist. So we're going to do the weaving technique that I use called knotting. There are a few weaves out there that use certain kinds of knots in their weaving, and there's a lot of sort of macrame weaver crossovers that incorporate macrame style knots in their work. But as somebody who loves the simplicity of things, I just organically one day, as part of a play and experiment session, started knotting, kind of intuitively knotting some thread, and it evolved into this technique I use quite a lot. So what I often do is, if I need a length of yarn, is if you've watched my other videos, you've probably seen me do this several times. I just do a double arm span. That's my kind of default go-to. And with this yarn, and you can do this technique in absolutely anything that you like, fabric, cotton, wool, roving, you can mix different yarns together to get different colours, etc. And this is a thick one, so I'm going to make this a thickness of about 6. If you're using like an 8-ply or DK yarn, you might want to go like 8 or even 10. Like some of the finer cottons as well, you might need to go to 10 or even 12. So I've got a nice little bundle of 6 here. So I've just kept on folding over essentially until I've got a nice thick bundle. And all I'm going to do is, at the beginning, tie a knot. Then I'm tying another knot. And I'm tying relatively close together, but I still want there to be a bit of space between them. It's a bit flary, isn't it? I'm just trying to get that reflection not happening, but I think the brightness of this yarn is not behaving. I'm not pulling them really tight, so I'll show you if I pull them really tight, that's what happens. So I'm doing it quite loosely. So I'm just doing it until it sort of forms a knot, and then I'm just working my whole way along. And you can do these as, you can, I'm saying do it thick, but you can certainly do it thin if you like. It's your creation, and I'm just here as your guide and hopefully inspiration. So I've done this a few times so you can see I'm quick, because I did a whole collection that was based around this technique, so that was fun. Okay, I'm not going to do the rest of the yarn, but you've kind of got the idea. So working on my medium loom that's already got a few little loops happening down the bottom from a previous demonstration I did. I'm just going to kind of randomly place this knotted section. I'm not really coming from the edge, I've started in the middle, and this is a real super free form way that I weave. So I've got these bits sticking out in the context of the fact that there is already kind of some loopy stuff hanging down. I wouldn't even bother tucking those in. However, if you had a nice bank of kind of quite flat plain weave, then yeah, you might want to kind of tuck those away. But this is where your creative decision making comes into play. Now, one of the important things to remember when you're sort of weaving with something that's knotted like this is it looks most effective if you cannot see the warp threads. It's kind of like this mysterious technique, and it's not so easy to sort of decipher, and it's not so distracting for the viewer as well. The viewer does not, if you can see with this technique, if you can see the warp thread, you are looking at a technique, but if you aren't distracted by the warp thread, you're looking at an artwork and you're sort of appreciating it in its whole as opposed to its parts, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is a real just do what you want. So I often, with this one, I'll go under one, over two, I might twist around a warp thread a couple of times. I'll come back the other way. And then I might even kind of have things sticking out quite a lot. So you can see here, you know, it's sort of sticking out quite a lot from the loom. I'm not concentrating on kind of getting it all sort of flat and pulling it tight. I can even sort of build a section up if I like, and then sort of work around, you know, over and around and next to and beside. I might even kind of do a bit of a knot thing here. So it's really just playtime with this technique, and that's kind of very freeing and quite fun. Cool. There it is, my little organic-y bundle of mini yarn boulders. Thanks for watching, subscribing, sharing, liking, etc. Feedback, comments, etc.